Good morning. I am making remarkably the same face. Both of those, we're going to delete one of these. Delete project. It's 6:53 right now. I actually got a pretty early start to my morning because I was working on finishing up that video, so my schedule's a little off of what it would usually be. But we're going to get some sustenance, tell you what this video is about, and then get to work. Okay, I can now X out of all of my planning stuff for the day. I had my 10 minutes. And now it is time to pull up the first project. Yeah. So this video is going to be like Q&A while I go about my day. What I'm thinking of doing is just time-lapsing the bits of the day and then answering some questions. I should mention, this is of course to celebrate my 4 years on YouTube, authortube, booktube, however you want to think about it. I hadn't done a Q&A for a while, so I figured this would be fun. And I'm thinking I'm gonna put somewhere up in the corner like a progress bar for how I'm doing for the day. So I figure I'll be recording today, and tomorrow will be the live stream celebration. So yes, although I am celebrating some today. I had people fill out a couple places that they could ask me questions. One was the anonymous form, and then just on the YouTube community chat. So a lot of these are questions I've gotten like most often, is kind of how I'm gauging this. So I figured I'd start with a money one. We're gonna do the, as you get older, do you worry about things like saving for retirement and being able to sustain yourself long-term as a full-time writer? So this is an interesting question, I think, for all freelancers or self-employed people, not just writers specifically. Okay. Editing Kate here to make a note. My entire answer to this meandered a bunch, and something I've learned over my 4 years is that if it meanders for me, then it's gonna be just like not fun to watch for y'all. So the way I was trying to answer that was not anymore, but obviously I come from the corporate world where I'm very used to like having health insurance included and like a matching 401k system and a whole bunch of other benefits, right? Being self-employed, you don't have that, and you're covering a lot more expenses that a company would usually cover for you. So this is something that you have to consider anytime you're going to move into like self-employment. But I think writing is really unique in that it's kind of like an ageless career. It doesn't matter how old you are, as long as your mind is healthy, you know, you can be writing for, you know, as long as you live. And I think there's something really beautiful in that. And I'm trying to set up systems in place now where I'm not relying solely on my writing, so that'll be something we cover. But also that I'm gaining a skill set with what I'm doing, so that if I needed to go back to the corporate world, I could do so in a different capacity that I would enjoy more. However, I'm now at a place, self-employment wise, that I've started contributing to my retirement again. There were a couple years where that wasn't true, where I wasn't making enough. So what I was making was going into savings and into like reinvesting in the business. But thankfully I'm not at that place anymore. So that's actually really exciting. Worried is in quotes because, again, you know, you can't predict the future. I think 2020 has definitely proved that, but you can't predict it in a lot of capacities, and that's just the risk you're taking when you're self-employed. And I think it's worth it, but again, hopefully the skill set I'm kind of creating, if I needed a fallback, I could find one. I have made a video where I talked about, you know, my finance degree and everything like that. So again, though I don't want to do it, worst case scenario, I still got that degree. Okay, that was much more succinct than what I said the first time. This will not be the last time that you see Editing Kate. But let's take you back. Okay, let's see some comments. Oh, I got this one a lot. Do you think being a successful YouTuber has impacted your growth as a writer in a drastic way, be it negative or positive, and how so? This is a question I get asked a lot. I think from people who both want to start a YouTube channel and also people who only see the work I do in a YouTube capacity. So like you can watch my videos, but you don't often have a chance to read the work that I'm talking about in the videos. Also, thank you, author JC Carpenter, for thinking that I'm a successful YouTuber. So I've always said that I don't think the filming aspect takes out a whole lot, a big chunk of my day. It'll be interesting to see during this sort of Q&A style thing, as I have the ticker, how this goes. But really I'm only filming in a few like minute chunks. It's the editing that takes some time, but I like to think of it as a creative outlet. So it's nice, honestly. So in terms of time spent, I don't think that it's ever negatively impacted my writing. Hasn't negatively or positively impacted. The only thing is there has been a fear-based thing. I think I probably rolled out books later, but actually that's ended up being a positive thing. So like I'm thinking of, I already have a built-in audience, which is scary and not something that a lot of newbie authors have. I don't know, I think there might be some biased judgment, I guess is what I'm saying, rather than just the work itself that you would tend to have. So that has given me a sense of fear and paralyzed me. But on my own personal writing journey, I can see now that the times that I wanted to roll out certain books would not have worked, right? So rather it kind of acts as a barrier. I think it's helped me as it's gotten me to focus on the rewriting and editing aspect in a more critical, crucial way than I might have initially planned to. I've taken more time to learn my own process and, you know, read more books and get better at writing rather than publishing as quickly. I'm hoping that there's growth all the time. I want to make my first Kate Cavanaugh, my first Meridian Maps book, the best that it can be, but I would hope that the 5th book will be even better than the first, as, you know, I get better at writing over time. I hope I just continue to get better. I covered 698 words and managed to delete 36 of them. Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So I got a couple questions on what my favorite videos have been. The ones I've enjoyed most are anything with my brothers. I've had Robert on my channel a bunch. Either having him guess what authortube books are about based off of the cover, or like the Save the Cat exercises we did, but I also had David do a typing contest against me, and I quite enjoyed calling him to gloat, making them guess what NaNoWriMo terms are. Those are my favorite. The ones with Robert are a pain in the ass to edit, which is going to be a recurring theme because my other favorite ones are my writing and drinking videos with Brooke. Anything that's a pain to edit usually ends up being my favorite video. What are some other favorites? I liked The Average Writer for a recent video. That was just fun to get all of the stats for and see what y'all's writing routine looks like on average. I liked drawing out my progress in all of my stories, and I liked doing the one where I was drawing out how long it took me from inception of idea to where I was at. I think that was Project Purple, so it's in a little bit of a hiatus right now, but that was really fun too. Oh, the other puppy's away. And then for more money-ish questions, how did you become a full-time freelance writer? So this is a misnomer. This isn't right. I think I've talked about this, so I'll link the videos where I have. I'd say I'm self-employed rather than being a full-time freelance writer. There's a lot of questions regarding full-time for anything. I joke that I hodgepodge my income together from a lot of different sources. One of them happens to be freelance writing. And I'm going to be hodgepodging, like getting more areas as time goes on, as I, you know, publish more books. So a full-time, I just don't like that term, especially because like where I live in Texas is not as expensive, 1. 2, I had lived with my parents where I was lucky enough that I didn't have to pay rent. Now I live with my boyfriend where I do help with expenses, but like I could not live in this kind of house by myself. Though it had been my plan to 2020, what a mess. It had been my plan to move out and hopefully move abroad. So obviously my whole plans have changed for lots of life. The point is, I think people see a portion of that and assume that only the freelance writing or only the books are contributing to it, when that is not true. So I'll link any videos I made about that, but yes, a hodgepodge of books, freelance writing, YouTube, Patreon, any sort of sponsorship or like affiliation with certain things. Yeah, affiliate links, other freelance stuff that's not writing, hodgepodge. Hodgepodge. As for a balance of, what was it, personal life writing and work life, I think that has been the single most recurring struggle I have documented over the course of my 4 years. I'm just now at the point where I'm making weekends more of a thing. This has been a goal for the past 2 years, I think, and it's only just now something that I've gotten better at. And even then, I tend to just work until the boyfriend's up on the weekends, so It's better. It's better. Plus dogs make it easier because you gotta care for them, you gotta take them on walks, you gotta love them, they remind you to get up and move. Duke always reminded me to get up and go outside and just kind of sit in the warmth, so it helps, I guess. Okay, I've now covered 1,756 words for the day and in total added 11 words.
Yes, sir. Whoa. Whoa. I did get this question on if there was a book I've shelved because I wasn't ready to write it.
My Scooby-Doo meets Princess Bride story, for those of you who've been on the channel for like a while, almost the inception, is one that I've been attempting to write multiple times, even as a screenplay at one point. It's an idea that I love. It's just requiring a lot more point of views, and I haven't yet tapped into being able to do that many. I do want to attempt it again. It's just figuring out when to attempt it when I have all this other stuff that's like more on deadline. I tried a sci-fi one year for NaNoWriMo. That went poorly. Was not ready to do a sci-fi. I think the first book I ever got beta reader feedback on was a college age, like a new adult superhero story, superheroes in quotes, and I had shelved that because new adult wasn't a thing, but I think I want to go back to that at some point and self-publish it. At the time I was more trad pub, at least for that kind of genre, but I'm seeing the light a little bit, so I might go back to it. For which challenge I'll never do again, I joke about the 24-hour write-a-thon. I always tell myself never do that again. It is so hard. I'm just so old now. If my patrons wanted it, if I got up to 1,000, which would be a crazy goal, I would do another 24-hour write-a-thon. I feel like a crazy has to match a crazy, so that's the only way I could consider doing that one. Oh God. Maybe it would have to be the addendum of I would do it and then I would also go back to it the next week and read through it. Like that would be the kind of fun experiment. Way to make it fun. A week later it would be fun, but not during.
No. Yeah, doggos. And I got asked what project I was working on when I first started YouTube. It was that one. It was that new adult superhero one. Go, 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 go! Zoom, zoom, zoom! Zoom, zoom, zoom! Zoom, 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 zoom! Wow! I did get asked a couple places what my family and the boyfriend thinks of YouTube when they first found out or when I first started doing it. I think my brothers were always pretty chill with it. I think they were like, oh, that's kind of cool. I send them like subscriber or view count updates or like anything with Twitch because they're always really excited for me, which is very sweet. My mom's a huge cheerleader of literally anything I do. My dad is too, but my dad admittedly said that he didn't really get it until he saw it had been making me a little bit of money. Not that you need to make money from it, but I think he was just confused because it was putting a lot of time toward it. And my dad has been on the channel and it was so fun to get to interview him and do that. I'd love to have him back on at some point. That's actually one of the videos where I had some of the best comments. It wasn't a hugely viewed video. This wasn't the question, but it's balancing the comments versus how much something's viewed, how popular it is. But in terms of comments, that one got so many people have literally asked for my dad to come back on. Or said it was their favorite video or something like that, which is just so cool, and that's rewarding in a way that like the views can't ever quite be, even as great as the views are, you know. So I'd love to have my dad back on, especially as he's writing more, which is fun. My mom's writing with him too. They're gonna try and like dabble with doing a book together. And then the boyfriend, I had no intentions of telling him until much later. Just dating in general, I didn't tell anyone. Thankfully, this is why pen names and like not my real name is super helpful, but it can be difficult because I have literally hours worth of content where you can get a snippet of me and then extrapolate that. So I like to think that I'm pretty similar, at least if you watch live streams or something like that, you get what I'm like. That is so much content for someone to consume before really knowing you and thinking that they know you. And so it's just a dangerous... He found out earlier that I had wanted him to because he's sneaky, but he thinks it's great. Something that I like to do, it makes me happy. It's great. Oh my God, are you so loved? Are you such a loved puppy? Yes, you are. All right, I took a bit of a break. I did some household sort of chores, but now we are back and it is time for the Twitch stream. Ooh.
You know, total 304 words, not my best. Although I guess I should count the journaling words, or the words in my journal. So that's probably 500 for the stream. Across 45 minutes, again, not the greatest I've done, but content with it.
Pups. So I also got the question, what would I go back and tell 2016 me who's starting a channel for the first time? I don't know if I should give myself like words of warning or just like a heads up. But it's so funny because I'd probably say, though it felt like a very lonely time, and often why I think a lot of people turn to YouTube, it felt very lonely at the time, but I would end up making some of my very close friends now that I've, you know, some I've gotten to see in person, some I haven't, but some I can tell like a lot of my personal life stuff to as well. And that's not something I expected at all. So it's been really nice on the whole. I'd also say, and this is funny that it happened today, I think in part because Duke fell down and it's 2020, so I was already, you know, a little bit heightened emotionally. But I got a comment, which I think I get like a comment a day that I see that upsets me like a little bit. And obviously this is one of like potentially hundreds that I'm looking at that day. And this is why, though some certain like gossip websites annoy me with how quickly the speculation turns into fact, and I say that as someone who loves my Bachelor subreddit, so I understand the other side of it, but at least the gossip sites are things I have to actively seek out. Sometimes I get these comments that upset me, and I wish they didn't have the power over me now. You would think after 4 years of doing this. But sometimes, again, like today, they just kind of hit you a little different. So I think I'd give myself advice on how to fix it. At least now I have better coping mechanisms, and that was like a journey to find them for me. So I put on my current favorite podcast, The Bill Bust. It instantly raised my mood. I had the stream, which was really nice. And so it's just surrounding yourself again with things you love, you enjoy, taking your mind off of it. I think before I would kind of wallow in what I read, but it's interesting because maybe the other piece of advice is that like we're all on our own journeys, right? And so some journeys can look like they're taking longer from the outside, but like we talked about in this Q&A, I started my channel with an entirely different book. You go through a whole series and journey of things, and like mine has been a kind of wobbly road of attempting different stories, realizing they weren't working at the time and kind of shelving them, as I think a lot of people's stories go. And I think there's something really nice in seeing that happen for other people, but then of course there's criticism of you're not succeeding in the way I want you to fast enough. But I'm also kind of convinced that those same people, and I know I'm not talking now this deep into the video to the people who make those comments, but I'm convinced that those people who make those comments so that I can see them would complain about anything they could find. So that's what I have to remind myself. Yeah. Coping mechanisms. I am about half a margarita deep, decided to make snickerdoodle cookies, and the boyfriend is running to get supplies to make queso to celebrate, so I'm excited. I guess maybe the other thing is celebrate the little things. Yeah, I would give myself this advice, 2016 me. Celebrate every step of the way. I think this can kind of get muddled when you do personally feel like you're not as far along as you wanted, or you're having to restart and do a new project, or you're having to do whatever. But celebrate those little victories of giving stuff to beta readers or figuring out something really cool that you didn't know before. Make a note, celebrate in whatever way you want. 2020, there's not a lot of stuff to do, so I'm celebrating with a lot of food. I'll probably paint my nails tomorrow before the stream. We are out here doing what we can. Again, puppies help. Buffy, what are you doing? Oh, she's gonna sneak attack. Oh. She is beauty, she is grace. She will chomp in Zelda's face. Okay, so I've gotten the question a lot about all of the various writing experiments I've done, especially I tried writing like famous authors. What has kind of carried over? So it should be noted that some of these I just took
in vain of the writer. Like I was just taking their motivation, like N.K. Jemisin and Rick Riordan didn't really have routines. So other than just taking their spirit, I have some quotes like from Kurt Vonnegut that I really loved. But I will say that Kurt Vonnegut's sort of chunk system, it already fit well with what I think I naturally do, but I had kind of been trying not to do it. I'd been trying to do a 9-to-5 version, but with writing, and that just didn't work for me. So it was like a reminder that, you know, if Kurt Vonnegut does it this way, it's fine for me to do a like hour-long chunk version, which also reminds me of when I was doing Neil Gaiman. He has that quote that's like, you can write, you can do nothing, but you can't do anything other than write during writing time. And this is something that I'm actually working toward putting in now. Like even in this vlog, I'll do my writing time with the time lapse and then I'll answer the questions or I'll move on to something else. I'll find myself during writing sprints, which is funny since we're about to have one today, I'll sometimes get super into the zone and that's when I find them distracting. So I'll turn them off when I'm just participating, but when I'm hosting, I switch it in my brain with being like, instead of this is my writing time, this is my community time. So it's like community time plus the bonus of getting words in. Yeah. Also, doggos are cute. And I have a little bit of my drink left.
Alright, the video is fully edited up to this point in time at 21 minutes and 12 seconds.
Which is good, as I do have another video I'm going to work on tonight along with actually writing some tonight, since I'm trying to take a full week off during the holidays. Yes. And I know I just showed them, but like this has been hours later for me. And then I will be ready for my stream, which I'm going to be working on Project Death, as that is the time I have set aside each day for that project. Oh. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So I did get just over 1,000 words in Project Death during this time, which is incredible. I also, okay, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I think I have a new working title.
Zelda, the stream is over. Look at that little tail. Yeah. I'll stretch. Alright, watching Jess Owens finishing some wine.
So I did want to wrap up with this final question that I got a couple of times, which I feel like is a good one to end on, which is, would I ever quit YouTube or quit making videos? No is the short answer. Not on purpose. I could see like going down to a lower number of videos, but I've always said the super fun thing is like, I make the videos for myself first. I'm documenting the process. The fun thing is going back and seeing, you know, the first time I got the idea for Project Death and discovering all these little bits and pieces along the way. Like I recorded here, which I texted myself that I had the idea for a new working title of it, and it may or may not be the actual working title that I query with in the future, but I now have that on a video about Project Death, and you know, in the future I can reference this back and be like, oh yeah, that was then. And also because I've met some really good friends doing this, I hope to, and I'm continuing to make friends doing this. There's just so many great things about making the videos for me that even like the little bits of negativity are like well worth it. Again, I might scale down in the future, or the content might change over time. Maybe I'll like have to transition to doing just like a weekly writing vlog or something instead of all of these experiments, but you know, I think I would keep doing it for as long as I'm able to upload. But thank you all so much for, you know, watching, for joining me on the 4-year in authortube live stream, for hanging out and getting words alongside me, or for watching my videos over however long you have been. Please do comment down below. Let me know if, you know, in the new year you're thinking about starting an authortube channel. Let me know who your favorite new people to watch are. Like I just discovered Jess Owens because I feel like I've been living under a rock or something. Let me also know if there are any kind of experiments or other videos you would like to see in the future, as I'm going to be kind of playing with my style like I talked about in my 2021 goals video. If there's anything you'd like to see me attempt, yes. But that is going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much, and thank you especially to some of my new patrons this month. Kay Hughes, Pamela Stewart, Hannah Enns, Crow's Talons, Beanie, and Rachel Hartman, and I will see you all very soon in the new video. And hopefully for like 4 more years. Okay, bye! I've had Robert on the show a bunch. The show.
Neighbors' dogs, I swear. Ooh.